Double standards, age, and attractiveness. There are only 3 ages for women in Hollywood: babe, district attorney, and driving Miss Daisy. I want to be young. Science fiction young. Goldie Hawn as Elise Elliott from the movie The First Wives Club from 1994 and 1995. This while demanding her plastic surgeon to fill her lips up with collagen for an audition after 18 months of not working. Single older women as a demographic are about as fucked a group as can ever exist. Frances McDormand as Zoe in Something's Gotta Give at the dinner table to Jack Nicholson's character, Harry Sanborn, a serial womanizer who at the beginning of the film who would not even look at a woman over the age of 30. 2 quotes that stick in my mind from 2 of my favorite movies. They are also funny, but oh so true. Then again, most humor is based on truth. Evening, kids. Straight talking Fedora Chic coming at you this evening or this morning. Yes, you heard that right. Tonight's video is about the double standards society has placed regarding attractiveness or beauty between the men and women. Yep, it's just another gender divide, but a significant one. Oh, big time. I will delve into generalities, but will focus more on older women and men age 45 and up. Before I go on, this is in no way meant to be a video on male bashing. Everything I point out is how both women and men view each other in society. Both women and men in society as a whole tend to hold fast to these double standards, just as there are men who do not. For example, women are just as likely to hold their peers to the same problematic beauty standards as men do. This according to both my own observations and the studies I have read. Yes, there are plenty of double standards issued towards men and women in other aspects of society, but this video will focus solely on appearance. I have done research on this after observing this for myself. I have been bothered by this for a very long time, and kids, it is far worse for us older women, just as the 2 quotes I mentioned earlier indicates. So now, I am going to put out some questions and comments. Here we go! Number 1, gray or salt and pepper hair. Why is that when women have gray or salt and pepper hair, society as a rule says we are letting ourselves go? But dudes with gray or salt and pepper hair are deemed affectionately as silver foxes. Yes, kids, even relationship coaches push this, as do the advice columns on dating sites. Number 2, why are women forced to paint their faces with makeup in order to look half decent, and men do not have to? Number 3, why is it when women have wrinkles, they are considered old, has-beens? And wrinkles on men, well, it looks distinguished. I will acknowledge that nowadays there are more men going out for the cosmetic procedures, but women are still by far the largest clientele for that. Again, more money we must spend in order to be accepted as a part of society. Men can have a rugged-looking face, whereas women must always have clear, soft, shiny skin. Not a blemish, not a line, however fine. She must never, ever have any facial hair, which happens to many of us as we age, usually due to hormonal issues. Issues beyond our control, I might add. Oh yeah, many would argue we can, for example, go waxing, get electrolysis, etc. However, many of us simply do not have the cash for those luxuries. Men also don't have to do things like pluck or thread their eyebrows. Women must worry about that constantly, as thicker and darker colored eyebrows on a woman is considered by society to be butch. When boys become men, it is deemed normal, even attractive, to mature and look older. But a woman better not frickin' age, or at least not appear to age. Women are expected to look like the clock stopped at 16 years of age. Back to that Frances McDormand quote from Something's Gotta Give. Older men do prefer girls young enough to be their daughters. Imagine that. The single older woman pretty much has to compete for the attention of men in our age bracket against girls young enough to be our daughters. Hollywood, of course, is a prime example of this. An older man like Jack Nicholson, who isn't particularly handsome by any stretch and is most certainly not slim, at least not anymore, can still get leading roles, even leading romantic roles. Much of the time, it's not the case for actresses similar in age to Nicholson. It must be noted that there are all kinds of discrimination happening in Hollywood, such as not as many black actors and actresses getting leading roles as their Caucasian counterparts. But that's another video for another time. We get bombarded with ads for beauty products on our Facebook pages, namely products marketed ostensibly to make women look much younger and or much more attractive. We don't really see any ads for men's cosmetic products, with except perhaps so-called hair growth products for male pattern baldness. I mean, have we ever seen ads for day and night creams for the dudes? I sure haven't. Have you ever seen ads for moisturizing creams for the dudes? Again, I sure haven't. Ever notice that articles written by millennials telling us older women how to dress or style our hair, plaster our Facebook pages? Yet we haven't seen any, at least I haven't, articles about how older men should dress or style themselves, or whether or not to grow facial hair. Number 5. Ever notice that men's formal or business attire is much simpler than that of a woman's? Other than the necktie, men's formal business attire is probably more comfortable, definitely has pockets, something women's wear lacks painfully. A woman is expected to wear tight, form-fitting clothes. In the case of us overweight women, a dreadful waist cincher or compression stocking is practically mandatory to hide all those rolls. Women are still expected to wear dresses and skirts in many workplaces. I don't need to say that dresses and skirts along with stiletto heels seriously restricts a woman's movements and actions. Men's formal wear, business attire as a rule do not. Even with casual wear, a man wearing loose-fitting jeans or loose shirts is perfectly socially acceptable, whereas a woman dressed casually is expected to once again wear uncomfortable clothing, restricting her movements. She must wear skinny jeans and must be able to bounce a quarter off them along with form-fitting tops. A woman who opts to wear loose-fitting clothing, like yours truly, is automatically deemed by a society as being a dyke or just plain sloppy and careless. Again goes to, oh no, how come she lets herself go again? At the gym, and I have seen this for myself, men can get away with wearing simply an old t-shirt with baggy shorts or sweats to work out. Women, on the other hand, are expected to wear the latest leggings and top sets from known retail brands such as Lululemon. Also of note, since men's fashions don't really change over the years, a dude can get away with wearing an article of clothing that is a decade old. I mean, for example, has a look of a golf shirt really changed in the last decade or so? No, not that I can see. Whereas women's fashions are forever changing at a rapid pace, more often than not, and so again, we must spend more money to be socially acceptable. Did you know that there are workplaces in both Canada and the US, and probably other parts of the world, that insists that women wear high heels as part of some insidious dress code. And I am not talking about working as a model or working for some shoe retailer. Is that even a word? Retailer. No, office jobs are requiring this as well. Somewhere, they don't even have to be necessarily visible to clients or the general public at large. So a woman like myself who cannot walk in heels at all is to be penalized from the workforce because I cannot walk in heels. Or what about the disabled woman who may wear leg braces or orthopedic footwear? Also of note, for overweight women, their fashions are dubbed plus size. And for overweight dudes, fashions are known as big and tall. This is a problem because the term plus size is implied that it is pretty much exclusively for overweight and obese women. Big and tall shops for the dudes, on the other hand, implies more of a wide range than just being overweight or obese. It could mean a dude with large muscle mass or bone structure, or simply taller than average. Noticing a theme here, kids? Plastic surgery, hair coloring, clothes to remain with the latest styles. We women must spend way more money than dudes on our appearance in order to have a hope in hell of either getting a job, attracting a mate, or just being socially acceptable, to have less of a chance of being ostracized. Yet women still make far less money than men. Yes, even if they're doing the same job, having the same qualifications. Number 6. Why is it that overweight women are more discriminated against in the job market or the relationship department? Why is it more socially acceptable for women to be overweight than with overweight men? Of note, I am not saying overweight men never experience fat shaming or discrimination, but according to obesityaction.org, as a rule, overweight men report discrimination at a BMI of 35 and over, while women report discrimination at a BMI of just 27. Here's a quote from obesityaction.org on this subject. Gender differences and experiences of weight stigma. Although both men and women are vulnerable to weight discrimination, their experiences may differ with respect to how much discrimination they are exposed to and the forms that it takes. Most notably, women seem to experience higher level of weight stigmatization than men, even at lower levels of excess weight. Research suggests that women, especially those who are middle-aged or with lower levels of education, experience weight discrimination at significantly higher rates than their male peers. North American ideals of physical attractiveness, which emphasizes thinness as central to feminine beauty, may account for some of these differences. Women whose bodies deviate, even slightly, from physical beauty standards may be vulnerable to weight stigmatization. Given that thinness ideals have become deeply ingrained into our society and are heavily promoted by the mass media, diet industry, and fashion industry, it is not surprising to see widespread weight discrimination toward women, even if they are not obese, in quotation marks. For women, weight discrimination has been associated with poor body image, low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, and a range of unhealthy eating behaviors, including binge eating. What was it that people said that fat shaming will actually get an obese or even an overweight person to spring into action? There are plenty more studies and data disproving that claim, and it actually has the opposite effect. In fact, an Australian study a few years back released a study saying men and women both think females with an unhealthily low body fat content are more attractive than females with a normal body shape and healthy levels of fat. In that very same study, both men and women did admit that women with a healthier body fat content do look healthier than those who have the lower body fat content. but they still feel that the unhealthily low body fat content is more attractive. Go figure. I'll provide the link to that source below in the description box. I can't say that I am surprised by any of that. I live in Montreal where people, both men and women, are especially hostile to overweight, obese women. I have often heard in the coffee shops or on the streets of downtown Montreal, young women claiming and exclaiming and shouting it proud, anorexia is in. There is also one of the internet's worst kept secrets, the growing pro-Ana, pro-Leia movements. We see them on the intertubes. We see their pages on our social media. Yep. For those who were wondering, pro-Ana is pro-anorexia, pro-Leia is pro-bulimia. On dating sites, I have often found that men and women, for the most part, do not consider anorexia a disease, but rather a healthy lifestyle lived by disciplined women of strong character. Yes, kids, you heard that right. An illness, which, by the way, has the highest mortality rate of all the mental illnesses, is considered a healthy lifestyle lived by disciplined women of strong character. I'm actually planning to do a video on this at a later time, so I won't go into too much detail on that subject right here and now. Men, on the other hand, with a healthy percentage of body fat or of average build, is still considered attractive and socially acceptable. Mary Ellen Brearley of Macquarie University's Department of Psychology says that there is indeed a significant difference as to how society, both men and women, views healthy-looking men's and women's body. And here's a quote. In this study, we found both male and female participants show significantly less fat mass to optimize the attractiveness of women's body than to optimize the healthy appearance of women's bodies. It should be noted that well-renowned relationship coach here in Montreal, one that Montreal Anglophone singles look up to and follow, has pretty much implied that an overweight woman is part of the criteria for being classified as a low-quality woman, low-value woman. Yet the dude himself, by his own admission, weighs about 500 pounds. Yes, you heard that right, kids. To be fair, this was a few years ago. From what I've seen, there is no indication he has lost a pound. Another anecdote I can say is when I used to belong to a gym, there was a woman trying to lose weight because her husband had basically threatened her that if she didn't lose the weight, he was gonna leave and pack his bags. But if she lost 50 pounds, he would buy her a Porsche. I kid you not, kids. And believe me, I've met the husband. He was a lot fatter than she was. And of course, it's not the first of such stories I've heard or have seen for myself. And here's another one related to job discrimination, again from obesityaction.org. The workplace is a setting that is particularly wrought with weight discrimination, and also one where gender differences may emerge. Men and women who are affected by excess weight are both less likely to be hired and are evaluated more negatively than non-overweight individuals. Some studies suggest, however, that women are up to 16 times, yes kids, you heard that right, 16 times more likely to perceive weight discrimination in employment settings than men. Female job applicants who are affected by excess weight are less likely than male applicants to be recommended for hiring. Gender differences have also been documented in obesity-related wage penalties, where women who are affected by obesity tend to earn salaries that are 6% lower than thinner women, in brackets for the same work performed, whereas men who are affected by obesity experience a smaller wage penalty, 3% less than thinner men. While there is certainly evidence of weight discrimination toward men in employment settings, it appears to be less severe and occurs at higher body weights compared to women. Well, that's just about going to do it for this video. Please subscribe to this channel and go check out my new food channel, Straight Talkin' Fedora Chic's Kitchen Mishaps. Please hit the ringy-dingy icon below for notifications every time I upload. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Straight Talkin' Fedora Chick over and out.